Welcome to Speak as One. I'm Julie Coriath. Today we have with us one of my new favorite people, Ganon Baker.
All right.
Hi, Ganon.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for trusting me.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here. It's an honor. I'm really just enjoyed getting to know you.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you letting me sew into your son.
Mm-hmm.
I've trained him and I got to know Will really, really well. We have some history with 5-star and basketball, and it's just, basketball has always been my life, and it's not an idol, but it's something that has really helped me explore the world and meet great people. And I think when you put so much good things into something, that something will pour out good things. And what you're doing is a good thing. So I'm excited to be here and talk and try to educate, inspire, and equip people with some good mental health tools, some physical tools, some spiritual tools, maybe some emotional tools. Either way, you're going to get some tools.
Yeah, I love it.
So let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Okay, for those of our audience that doesn't know you, can you just explain a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Hampton, Virginia. I was a former high school, college, and professional basketball player. I got a master's in education and coaching, and I went into college coaching. Then I started to run my own business in the year 2000. So since the last 23 years, I've been traveling all over the world, helping basketball players, helping basketball coaches get better at basketball. So I'm a development coach. I help people with their physical, mental, and emotional skills to help them. Basically, I got two missions: to help you win in life and to help you win in basketball. And I haven't always been good at that, at teaching it, but after 23 years, I've seen some good results. I've gotten better as a teacher, and it's a great life.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I would love to kind of dive back into growing up. I know yesterday we got to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'd love for our younger audience to know that might be going, or in high school or in college, and might be going through some hard times, is maybe you could share some of your hard times and what you did to get through those.
Yeah, so growing up in Hampton, Virginia was a great city. I had two parents that were teachers that loved me. I had two brothers that I was close with. We lived in a neighborhood that was diverse, and so right across the street, maybe a 2-minute walk, was the hood, was the ghetto, all African American. And so I spent the majority of my time over there because I love basketball. I just wrote a book about it called Take Your Shot, and I just wanted to play basketball with others. Basketball is a team sport. You can't always play by yourself. You need that connection. You need that human connection. So when I went over there as a white guy, I was the only salt and the pepper shaker. I was an Oreo, right? Yeah. So I was the cream filling. And whether I was white, Latino, Chinese, I was different. I was a stranger. I was coming into their tribe. And so at first, I'm gonna call it what it is. I got bullied. I got called names and cracker and honky and white bread and white boy and Casper. But I embraced adversity through diversity, and after a while it became Shake and Bake, Larry Bird, enduring names, right? So the bullies helped me get better, and we formed a bond. And that's the end result of dealing with bullies, that if you stick with it, you'll end up bonding with them, because all it was is them getting to know me, them embracing who I was and my culture. And then at the end, we just wanted to be friends and try to play some games of basketball and have fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I love what you said, if you can just stick with it. It sounds like part of that, the bullying, you took it as, okay, I'm going to get better and show these guys.
Yes. So I believe in you're a product of your environment. Mm-hmm. I really believe parents need to nurture, right, our nature. And so naturally, as young kids, we don't want to fight. We're soft. We want it easy. We want to run away when there's problems. So I went home after I got beat up, and I'm not saying to a bloody pulp, but got hit in the face. My ball got stolen. My bike got stolen. They pushed me on the ground. I scraped my knees. Got hit in the nose, bloody nose. No problem. But back then, I can remember it like it was yesterday. There was an emotional pain.
Yeah.
It was a scary type of feeling. I could not defend myself. I didn't know anybody. I was isolated. I was alone. They didn't like me, and I didn't know why, because they didn't know me. And so as an 11-year-old and as a 12-year-old, it was hard to process. So I went home, and my parents were my remedy. They didn't call the police. They didn't call Morgan and Morgan, which is a lawyer office.
Okay.
They said, "What are you going to do? Are you going to fight it out? Are you going to figure it out? Or are you going to walk away and let them take your respect, and then you don't achieve your goal of taking your shot?" And I'm like, well, I'll go back, huh? You go back. Show them who you are. Tell them what you want. Express yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Love that.
And they said, if you express, just by you showing up, that's going to show them your courage. And if you keep showing up, they're going to start caring. They're going to start respecting. They can't not respect you. Plus, Ganon, you spent all those years, you spent all that time playing by yourself. Go prove to them that you can play it with them. This is your test. So you want to get an A, a B, a C, or a D, because they're teachers. And so, they gave me the Rocky speech. They gave me the Eye of the Tiger, and they used parables like that. They my dad said, "Look, you need to watch Rocky 1 and 2." And so we had a little VCR tape, if you can remember.
I remember.
Yeah, and so they nurtured me into, you got to fight back. And it's not violent, it's not wrong, but you have to stand up for yourself. And mentally, it's you standing up to the negative voices, right? Some Chinese parables call it, you got two wolves in your body. The good wolf or the bad wolf. And which wolf do you want to be? You want to be the positive wolf, or you want to be the negative wolf? You want to be the one that gives life, or you don't be the one that sucks life? So I went out and just said, no, I'm gonna play again. And I can remember they didn't beat me up, but they didn't let me play. Or at least I was spectating, right? And then it soon became, well, all right, Gannon, we'll let you play. We need one more. And then I was aggressive. I was so good, they could not ignore me. Not good meaning great, but I was so determined that they earned my respect. And so I could remember the guys' names: Mark Cooper, Baruch Harris, John Scott, Mark Godwin, Scipio, Little C, right? They all became my friends, my high school teammates. A few of them were in my wedding. So that's how I handled it. A lot easier said than done. But anything you do, metaphorically, you have to fight. Yeah. And I did that metaphorically. I did that physically. And it is the foundation of my toughness today as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband.
What do you think kids can do today, not only about the bullying that they may experience at school, but the bullying that they have to endure on social media? I mean, it's a whole different day and age. I can't even imagine living as a kid right now.
That's a great question. So on social media, first thing you do, you got to process it. Realize, all right, this is happening. This is real. This is part of life. People are gonna hate and criticize and make fun of you everywhere, and it's not an age discrimination. 50-year-olds, I'm 50, I get hated on, right, all over the place, and so does a 5-year-old. So disappointment is the child of false expectations. So if you expect to go through life online or offline and not get negative stuff coming at you, you're living in a dream world. It's part of life now, right? And so don't be disappointed. It happens to everybody. You have a choice. You can either feed into it or you can forget it. And so what I do is I put boundaries and limits on how long I'm on social media. And when it's not inspiring me, when it's not building my time up, it's stealing my time, I get off of it. When I find people making comments, I use the Martin Luther King analogy. It's not what you're called, but who do you answer to? And so if they're really searching for an answer, I educate them. You know, I call that the F you versus educate you. If you're going to doubt me, then you better educate me, and I'll give you a chance to express yourself. So kids, easier said than done, have to have the maturity of, is that somebody I should answer or not? Is it worth the conversation? Because the nature of social media is hate, is drama, is negativity that's centralized and used for entertainment purposes. Also, you know what? You're a teenager. Unless you're an influencer, why do you even have social media?
Yeah.
My daughter's 13. We don't. She's not on social media. I'm gonna say it again, parents. Like I have a 13. We have a 13-year-old daughter, my wife and I. We do not let her go on social media. Her phone texts us, right, and she can watch videos that we download. That's it. So if you're a teenager, unless you run a business, why the hell are you on social media? Because it's not going to fill you up.
It's not. And what I'm noticing with sports, though, is that it's almost expected of these young kids to have a social media presence. And sometimes that's what scouts are looking for, is what is their social media presence. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think if you're an athlete and you sacrifice and put in the time and sow into your athletic career, going from middle to high to college, absolutely you should have social media because it's part of your brand. Right now you're a business. And so with that, parents, coaches need to educate the kids. They need to get an education. Hey, here are the positive things you need to do with social media. Here's how you handle negative, abusive comments. And just educate them. So they need to get an A in social media management and how to better your brand. That's all it is. It's just, all right, 2 + 2 is 4. I got the math thing down. You know, CAT, cat. I got the, right? It's just learning and having an aptitude for, okay, I'm going to be responsible for my, social media page because it is part of my brand. And here's how to deal with it. It's easy to say, hard to do, but that's it. It's simple. Here's how you get an A in handling that. Educate yourself. Who's going to educate her? Him. And that's what these kids need.
Yeah, absolutely. So after, you went through high school and then you're on to college. Where did you go to college? How was that experience for you?
I went to Duquesne University. It's in Atlantic 10. Back then it was Rutgers, UMass, West Virginia. It was almost like the Big East now. It's very high level of school. That's the only reason I went there. It's because I had a chance to start right away at the best basketball conference in the country. You know how fickle was that, right? I was the only white guy on the team except for one other walk-on. I was leading these juniors and seniors, and they wouldn't listen to me. And I was good. I was all freshman team. I was averaging about 9 points a game as a point guard. I played a lot, 30 minutes a game, but they wouldn't listen. And I would get frustrated. And it was the first time that I noticed, visually that, all right, half my team smoking marijuana or weed. Coach had a specific diet for some players because they were overweight and they weren't listening to coach. We had guys binge drinking on weekends to the point where they would pass out and get in fight with students and everything. So it was a very toxic environment for me. And I tried to lead and I got bullied. I remember I was in a cast my freshman year because I got redshirted. And New Year's Eve, 3 of my teammates woke me up at midnight. Happy New Year. All right, good. They poured cold water all over me in my bed and flipped the mattress. And so I don't condone this, but it is a way to stand up for yourself. I told them to stop. They wouldn't stop. And I just remember grabbing one of my teammates. His name was Ephraim Whitehead, Grady High School. He remembers this. I just grabbed him in a headlock, and if my the other 2 teammates hadn't pulled me off of him, I might have killed him because I had him in a headlock. He couldn't breathe. He passed out, and I still had him because I felt so disrespected. I felt so violated that it brought out something in me that I didn't like. And that could have changed. And so that's the negative way to address bullies, because that could have put me in jail for life. And the 10, 11 seconds I had him in my arms, that could have changed the course of my life, just because I got emotional and disrespect. I wasn't hurt, but I was angry. I was embarrassed. I mean, wouldn't you be? 12 midnight. They wouldn't listen. I'm already frustrated. They did, and so I just reacted. Good news is, he didn't die. Good news is that sucker never messed with me the rest of the year. Right? Bad news is I handled it the wrong way. We weren't close, and I realized an emotional chip that I unleashed. Now it could become a habit if I continued to act that way versus conflict and chaos. Mm-hmm. And so that still sticks with me. Today they call it hazing. Mm-hmm. And I forget one university, I forget the school, and I'm glad, because I don't want to throw them under the bus, but there was hazing at a college campus this year with some basketball players, and one of the teammates got killed from that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's one of many stories that the hazing. There's been hazing instances in the last decade where it's taken people's lives, and so it's bullying.
Yeah.
And so that was back in 1991. It's still prevalent today, and kids have to find a way to set boundaries, stand up, tell somebody, and make sure that kind of stuff would never happen again. Because in hindsight, I should have let it happen, and then went and told the coach and talked it out and made sure there was boundaries set and accountabilities held for anybody that bullied me on that team again. But
well, thank
never
you for
did
your
that.
honesty around that, because I think it's so hard when we see these young men and women who look like they have it all together, but their brains still aren't fully developed. Your brain wasn't even fully developed, and
I'll blame my brain.
Yeah,
you're right.
But yeah, it's true, and so sometimes we don't know how to react in the moment. And what you said is, hey, go talk to your coach about it. Try not to get violent. Go talk to your coach, and let's talk it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a counselor on campus that I had a chance to go talk to, and we had it, but I never used them. Mm-hmm. Back then it was, you didn't talk about mental problems or depression or how you feel. It was always, hey, you got to be tough, suck it up. You guys figure it out in the locker room. Mm-hmm. And there's some truth to that, but nowadays I would say vulnerability will breed your strongest courage. So if you're having problems with a teammate, if you're having problems with the mindset, the darkness, the despair, self-worth, you need to tell the teammate you can trust, and you need to help get yourself in front of a professional, and then be a great patient. Follow the steps. Mm-hmm. A great routine equals great results. I got that from Ray Allen, who's a Hall of Famer, played at Boston and Miami. We did some workouts in Barcelona together. And I was like, man, you're 45, 44 at the time, and you're in great shape. And, mentally, man, you have that PMA, a positive mental attitude. What do you attribute that to? He said, man, every day you get into a routine. Routine with your body, routine with your mind, routine with your soul. And your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. You know what I mean? And so if you have a great routine, that equals great results. If you don't have a good routine, you won't have good results. It's that simple. And so that's what a counselor can do, is just give you steps. And you gotta take the medicine. You gotta be a good patient. You gotta get those reps.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of college athletic programs nowadays have a sports psychologist or someone on their staff where they can go and counseling for any young student. But yeah, and even as adults, I think it's so hard for people want to take that step and say, I need help.
Right.
But it will help. If you find the right person, it will help to set up those routines.
Well, let's talk about the right person. Mm-hmm. Because just recently my dad had a heart attack, and they had a clergy, right? A pastor come in. And so it's funny, he was in one hospital pastor came in. It's pastor now. He's supposed to love people. He came in and it was like he was checking the boxes. There was no human charisma, relation. I mean, he could have been like a zombie. Hey, how you doing? Everything good, good. Man, you know, it was religious. It was pharisaical. It was like, and when he left, my dad looked at me and said, that guy don't care about me. He was just doing the job. Another hospital, clergy comes in, totally different. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Baker? High five, what do you like to do? The second pastor saw into him. And so it was personable, it was genuine, it was authentic. Second pastor left, my dad said, now that guy has a calling.
Yeah.
That guy has a passion for people. And so I get that from some of the college athletes, because I run a mentorship program where high school, college athletes, your son, I'm glad he survived, comes and stays with me. And it's hard. Like, we go deep, and that's what a mentor does. It's a man or woman that tours your life. You know, I ask the hard questions. I want the transparency because I try to give them the same thing. And multiple college athletes have said, you know what, we have a sports psychologist, but she's just a person. He is just there. He doesn't relate us. He only stays in his office. Hey, I'm here if you need me. And I'm like, all right. So if we're gonna stand up and have a title, we got to have touches. And I'm speaking to myself. I'm a coach, so there's no question, right, that I shouldn't have an answer for. Well, if you're a sports psychologist, do your job, because you can not only impact a life, you can save a life. And so we're telling these kids, yeah, you gotta follow the steps and do the medicine. But I've heard from multiple college athletes that, you know what, don't just take a paycheck. Have a passion for what you do. Get out there, get to know these athletes. Yeah, maybe you never played basketball, or maybe you're from white America. Sometimes you can't relate to black America, but there's got to be a way that you can connect with people, because they have red blood, you have red blood. They have problems, you have the solutions. So let's get out your office and let's get in there and let's help these kids. And that, I'm not going to drop any names, but I was so disappointed when I heard that, not from one, not from two, not from three, but from multiple players that said, man, you know what, yeah, we got a sports psychologist, but I don't ever see him.
Yeah, I think really...
So I'm sorry, Julie, to get... No. We're on Oprah's couch. Let's get real.
No, I love what you're saying, because I agree with you, and I think what will really make change is when these teams can start talking about mental health together, and they can implement, you know, different mental health, and they say mental health, and they're not scared of it, because just like a physical health, we have a mental health, and let's talk together. And then, you know, if the sports psychologist is more off to the side, that's fine, but maybe then they're more and like to go use her and say, I think I'm going to go see her now. Why? Because we're all talking about mental health. You know, it's not shameful. It's something that we're all doing together.
It's real.
And I just think that's important. I remember you sharing with me yesterday about that certain coach who for 2 years had them all, you know, kind of doing this group therapy type deal.
Yep.
And it changed their whole season. Yeah,
so Billy Donovan at the University of Florida struggled with his team back in, I think, 2007. And it was a difficult team. There was a lot of off-the-court problems that trickled on the court, a lot of generational curses, if you will, or systemic things going in with all these guys' families, and it affected how they behaved on and off the court in Florida. So Billy Donovan said, this is way above my pay grade. So he brought in a sports psychologist, and that sports psychologist had a lot of their meetings where the team surrounded him. He was in the middle of the locker room, and he was like, all right, throw up on me, let's go. Mm-hmm. And it took a while, but again, that sports psychologist realized there's no microwave success with mental health. It's a process, it's relational, it's diligence, right? And by the end of the season, they were tighter, their lives were better. Patrick, I forget Patrick's name that was on that team, but I was listening to his podcast, and he said, man, that season changed his life. Billy Donovan, thinking outside the box. 2007, nobody talked about the dungeon of depression or mental health, but Billy Donovan was like, no, we gotta get these guys' minds right. Because if your mind is right, your body will follow. and they ended up winning the championship that year. In the SEC, I think they went to the Final Four and made it to the final game. They might have won the championship, but they were very, very successful, and it was because at the beginning of the season, they started here. Mm-hmm. Right? This can be great, but if this is not clean and this is not positive, the heart won't follow, because out of the heart flow the issues of life, and you got to get this right to make this right. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, but that's a great point. Yeah. It's normal. It's okay not to feel okay. Just because you make a mistake does not make you a mistake, and we do that, especially as men. We make a mistake, we feel, man, that affects our self-worth, and it's hard, but it's not true. Right. Yeah. We lost the game my senior year to go into the NCAA tournament. We were number 1 seed, and we lost to Richmond, and that still pains me. But when I was 22, I felt like a loser because we lost the last game in my senior year, and that affected my self-esteem. The fans treated us differently. I remember my girlfriend at the time was mad at me, but just because you don't get the end result doesn't mean you didn't do big things during the process. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you got to wrap your mind at and self-talk your way into it. And then we haven't talked a lot about this, but pray. Go to your life source, and you get self-worth from just knowing that He created you for good. Mm-hmm. And it's called meditation, visualization, self-affirmation that you would do in your quiet solitude time. That helps me a lot deal with anxiety and stress in my mind.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, and it's really hard for kids to do nowadays because of the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Put that down. I got to talk to one young basketball player at Texas State, but he said he does that. He tries to put his phone down and go for walks. And then Trent Shelton, too. He said, I have to put my phone away for a couple days and go and find that quiet and that solitude and, just kind of get recentered. And it's so, so important.
Yeah, amen to that.
So, how did you get through that last game, and then where did you go on to do after that?
Yeah, so I was a Christian back then. I just gave my life to Christ at 21. I was 22, and broke up with my girlfriend because not because of that, but ironically we broke up, and it's like I learned from failure. I processed it, and then I became present the next day. All right, that's a chapter. I looked at the good things. All right, Dean Ellership Leadership Award, all academic conference, got a degree, started working on my master's, and I became a coach.
Yeah. Why?
Hey, I want you to have the success that I had, and I want you to be a better man and player than I ever was. That's why I coached. Mm-hmm. And so I poured myself into others. So if you're not happy, it's funny how life works. Try to make somebody else happy. If you want to smile, try to help bring humor and laughter to somebody else. Because if you do, it all comes back to you. No different than money. Hey, if you need a blessing, go be a blessing. Go help somebody else make some money. Give your time, talents, and treasures away, and supernaturally, that'll come back to you. And I've used that in almost every area of my life, and that's true. So I poured myself into my next step in life, and that was coaching.